Hello, one of the questions that came up to me was a very good question. Someone asked, what's the difference between a religious order priest and a diocesan priest? And it's a kind of a little bit more complicated question than just a few words, so I decided to do a little video on it. And one of the things, when you think about religious orders, there's many different religious orders, and each one has a little bit different charism, which I'll talk about. But there's like Dominicans and Jesuits, there's Maryknoll, there are Franciscans, and there's many Franciscans of that. And one of the things that happens is they're a lot of times identified by what they wear. And so sometimes they may wear habits that are brown or gray or white, but sometimes they don't have any habit at all. When I that they wear no specific clothes. Where a diocesan priest, most of us, wear black collars, and that's how we're identified a little bit also. But that doesn't mean that religious order priests don't wear black collars. But one thing that is very different is the charism that religious orders take on. Sometimes they're teachers at schools or universities. Sometimes they work in hospitals, or they're missionaries around the world. And so their charism usually comes from their founder. And that founder is someone who lived that life. Sometimes they live a life of just prayer, and sometimes they really identify with the poor. So depending on what their charism is, that is what that order specifically works with and for. So they have a whole different way of spreading the good news of Jesus Christ throughout the world. But one of the other real big differences is that they take obedience to their religious leader, the leader of that they vote in their providences. And so when they do that, that's where their assignments come from. That's who they have to answer to, and that's also where they gather. Usually is in that providence with that leader. And so they do the work of Jesus Christ throughout the world, but they do it in a little different way. Well, diocesan priests also, we do the work of Jesus Christ, but we are usually assigned to parishes. I'm a diocesan priest for the Archdiocese of Detroit, and so I will always be in the Detroit Diocese. I won't be in New York or California or something like that. I will always be in the Diocese of Detroit. And unless I'm on some type of special assignment, but that's very unusual. But the one other thing that's a big difference is the vows that we take. Diocesan priests and religious priests take vows of chastity, and they also take vows of obedience to their leader or their charism, or I would take the obedience to the Archbishop. My boss would be the Archbishop Alan Vigneron, who's the Archbishop of the Detroit Diocese. But also, the third thing that many religious orders take is a vow of poverty. But for a diocesan priest, we take more of a vow of simplicity, to have a simple way of life and a prayerful life. So they're very, very similar in what what we do. We reach out to those and bring the faithful to Jesus Christ. But for a diocesan priest, what I'd call the charism is really to work in parishes, to work with the people, and to bring the sacraments to them. And that, I think, is a most important thing that I do, is bring the sacraments to the people. And when I do that, that is really fulfilling my role as a diocesan priest. And it is great to be a diocesan priest, and I love being here at Guardian Angels. And I hope you can continue to grow with me as a parish in the Diocese of Detroit at Guardian Angels Catholic Church.